All right, Clemson fans, it's time to get serious about 2025. Of course, the Clemson Tigers are hitting the field later this week, and we got Jason Priester here from Clemson Insider to help us break it down. So you can join Jason, of course, each and every day now that the guys are going to camp, and there's going to be news just about every day. But we've got Jason here to break down the Clemson offense, which should be explosive and efficient. It should be a good one, Jason.
Yeah, that's the general consensus, anyways. The hype train has kind of left the building with this team. It has been building up a lot of that centered around the offense. Bunch of guys returning. Um, that Cade Klubnik, going into his senior season, he should have no shortage of weapons. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So let's start with him. He improved from 19 TDs, 9 picks the season before to 36 and 6. And again, I go back to that Texas game. I just think between he and those 3 receivers, they kept it alive for Clemson in a game that otherwise Texas controlled. This guy is basically considered the best in the country for most at this point, until maybe an Arch Manning steps up, or somebody that we haven't seen yet, one of the Ohio State or Michigan quarterbacks, somebody else. But besides them, it's in terms of experienced quarterbacks, this guy's about as good as anybody in the country.
Yeah, you hit on it, man. He improved so much from his sophomore year to his junior year, and in almost every aspect. The turnovers were a big problem. You mentioned the picks, but the fumbles too. I think he was credited with like 10 fumbles as a junior or as a sophomore. I think he lost 5 of them, and he cut down on those dramatically last year. I'm not even sure if he was technically ever charged with one, but protecting the football, that is an area that we have seen marked improvement. But so many other areas too, knowing when to run, not to run, pocket awareness, pocket presence, however you want to say it. He was just so much better last year. And he, along with the coaches there at Clemson, they believe there's another step he can take. They think that he's not hit his ceiling yet as far as college, quarterbacks go. And with the kind of talent he's got around him and the experience he's got up front in front of him, protecting him, there's no reason he can't take that next step this year. Um, a lot of that's going to depend on some of the guys around him, but man, he put it all together last year, that's for sure. And if he can continue that progression, man, he could have a really big year.
We've got a heck of a Clemson show on Thursday nights right here, everyone, with Tiger Paul Craven and Jordan Bowman. Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Please join the guys every Thursday. Chris Vezina's a rare commodity these days with the blue chip status that he's achieved, that he's hung around this long. Now, obviously, this is Cade Klubnik's team, but Chris Vezina, this team is good enough, or should be good enough, that even if you've got to go to a backup quarterback, that's not you. This team should be prepared, and it not be a case where you just say, "Well, the season's over, Klubnik's down." But if Chris Vezina has been learning well on the job, then he should be able to take over this team, I would think.
Yeah, you kind of hit on it there a little bit with him being a rare commodity. You just don't see guys, especially quarterbacks, that are willing to sit 3 years behind somebody before they take their turn. He's kind of an unknown commodity at this point too, because we just haven't seen a lot of him. If you go back to April of last year when Clemson held their spring game, that he was up and down, still looked pretty raw to me. Thought we saw, a different Chris Vezina in this year's spring game. He just looked like a guy that had been in the program for a little while now and had a better understanding of the offense, game slowing down for him, all that stuff. But again, until you actually see him on the field and see that he can step out and do it when the lights are on, you're just not gonna know. Um, I think the bigger thing with him is he going to be ready to slide in and take over next year when Klubnik's gone. Is he going to be that guy? Because there's going to be some competition for that job, I would think. But I'm kind of with you. If you for whatever reason Klubnik has to miss a game or part of a game or whatever, Vezina's been around long enough and in the same system, and he's working. Been working with the same guys for a while now. There should be some chemistry there. You shouldn't see a ton of drop off in the offense, especially if Vizina is where these coaches say he is. Dabo touched on it a couple of weeks ago during Clemson's big media day, if I'm remembering right. He said that they saw a big jump out of Vizina, particularly during the spring, and they saw exactly what they wanted to see out of him. Now a lot of the fans are just waiting to see it, because again, he's just not having many opportunities.